Hi, I'm Maria Thea Harris of Velosos. Welcome to So Organised Style Podcast. Find a quiet space and relax with us. On So Organised Style Podcast, I begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we record this podcast and pay respects to the elders past and present. Thanks for joining us on So Organised Style Podcast for the Making Zen Online Retreat. Ellie Beck is today's tutor on the podcast for the Making Zen Online Retreat. So Ellie's here to tell us about her background and what her specialty is. Hi Ellie, how are you?
Hello, I'm well, thank you. It's been a good day and so I'm well, thanks.
You're welcome. Ellie, we've got similar accents, don't we?
Yes, it was wonderful to know that you're also from Australia because I find a lot of these events, everyone's from the US, so it is great, yes.
Thanks. I mean, and it's wonderful that, you know, the Making Zen Online Retreat is being arranged by Kate Ward. She's the person behind it all. Mm-hmm. And she's an Australian who lives in Canada.
Yeah, I really like that idea. It was great when I connected with Kate. She's like, oh, I'm in Australia right now. And I'm like, oh, yay, that's really cool. Yeah, it is good to have that international community, but to bring a focus to Australian textiles in that sense. I do have an international audience for my creative work, but I do really love knowing that we can all share throughout the whole world in that sense.
On that note, Ellie, tell us about yourself and what you do.
I'm one of those people that's quite hard to define in one word. I'm a maker and a creative, a textile artist. I'm also a photographer, a published author, and I'm a teacher. I teach online workshops and in-person workshops. I work a lot with natural and botanical dye and slow stitching and instinctual creative making.
You know, that answers a lot of questions that I had because I went to your website and all of the specialties that you have, I thought the creativity you have lends itself to so many different types of media.
Yeah, I grew up in a very creative family. I went to a Steiner school. My parents are artists. And so I was always encouraged to just do what I love doing. There was no, you're only this or you're only that. And in my personal self, but also in my work, my business, I've decided to not niche down on one thing, but to allow my whole self to be part of what I do. So lots of things I love doing, basically.
So as a mum as well, how do you keep your creativity fueled and do everything else that you do with your life?
So I have 3 kids. My oldest is 17, then 15, and my youngest is 7. And firstly, I don't do everything. My house is generally messy. I work from home, so I don't have to have that commute. My husband also is at home, so he does a lot of the primary caring. So in that real physical sense, that's sort of how we work. In the sense of keeping my creativity alive and doing it, I do it around them. I stitch on the couch at nighttime during the weekends. I take my work with me when we're going to appointments or if I take them to the park and play. So they're used to seeing me doing it. It's not I'll go off and do my own thing. It's part of our whole life. All my kids are creative. So for them, it's a natural thing to see and to go and do.
So one more question. The fact that we've all been living through COVID lockdowns over the last 2 years, how has that affected your creativity? Because it may not have.
It has massively.
Yeah.
There's been 2 aspects, really. I have online courses, and so I've had them for about 7 years. So when a lot of people went into lockdown, they wanted that. They were craving and needing that thing to get them through. So in that sense, with my community and my audience, they were like encouraging me to do it because they were delving into new crafts themselves.
Right.
So as a teacher, that was really interesting and inspiring. But I spoke to a lot of people, a lot of business owners who do creativity, and also a lot of people who have been doing it a long time. And myself and those people, we actually found that we stopped doing a lot of our creative work, which was really interesting in the times when we needed it maybe more than other times.
Right.
It sort of stopped in a way that we didn't understand, couldn't work through. But I'm really big on the fact that we have seasons in our lives. And so it's really important to allow those, to not push through. If we're having a winter, then we have to allow that space in ourselves to think and feel and just sit with it and know that it will always come back.
Yeah, you're spot on there. Do you feel now that we're heading out of winter and treading into the spring of our motivation?
I think everyone is in different stages and spaces. There are definitely a lot of people I am noticing who are ready to take that up and be part of it. And because we're able to meet with people in real life around tables and chat, that's been an amazing thing to move into. So people are ready for that. Personally, in my life, I'm up and down with it. So 18 months ago, I had a few seizures. We've got a whole lot of family things. So that sort of shifted us off course. Creativity, especially stitching, brings me back to doing that, to being in the daily. And my community inspires me to step into my spring, to move out of my winter.
Yeah.
So while every day I might not want to, like we're doing part of the community, we're doing a daily stitch practice. So 10 minutes a day. And those things to be with community, to share, are really important for this way of helping us to move beyond.
That winter that has stopped our creativity.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering that question.
I could talk for days and hours about a lot of this thing, and I do a lot of writing about it. So it is definitely something I think about deeply. And yeah, once someone gets me started, how many hours have you got to chat? But yeah, I think our creativity is really, really important. That quietness that happens in conjunction with the community. So both of those work really well for me, to have that space for myself where I have my quiet work and to connect with others. I think having the lower points in our creative work, having someone to help us out of it is important.
Ellie, where can we find you online?
So my online name is Petal Plum. So my website is petalplum.com.au. And I'm on Instagram and it's @petalplum.
Thank you for coming onto the podcast to help people understand the breadth of presenters and tutors that are going to be at the Making Zen Online Retreat.
Thank you. It's been lovely to chat with you and share some of the work I do.
Thank you again, Ellie.
Thank you.
This episode of Soul Organized Style podcast for the Making Zen Online Retreat on the 2nd to the 6th of May 2022 was produced by me, Maria Thea Harris, with permission of Ellie, sound by bensound.com. At the Making Zen Online Retreat, each day's presentations will be free for 24 hours. You can subscribe to Soul Organized Style podcast, but with an S, not a Z, on all good podcast apps. Katrine of Mending Mayhem and Selena of Selena AM05 on Instagram are some of the textile artists on this year's Making Zen Online Retreat that you can go back to listen to their previous podcasts. And if you're able to, consider supporting the production of this podcast through our Patreon account. We look forward to seeing you at this year's Making Zen Online Retreat. Enjoy this unique, creative online experience.